DJ Lil create vibes now.
Welcome to another episode of the Get Love Like Mine podcast. We are your humble hosts. I'm Keisha Amos. Down there on the end is my beautiful husband, Sam Amos. This is episode 6 of season 2. We pray that you're enjoying the content. We're doing something a little bit different today. We have some special guests. We have our daughters. I'll start from this end. This is our daughter, Kiara. And this is our other daughter, Christian. Kiara is Sam's daughter from a previous marriage, and Christian is my daughter from a previous marriage. So today we are talking about blended families. I think we're going to make this a series because we have the girls here today and we're going to have the boys on the next episode. So hope this will help somebody. So just in talking about blended families, that's getting to be the norm these days, and I just had to think back on my own blended family. My mom remarried. She married my brother's dad when I was 14, right before I turned 15, and he was an older gentleman, so he had older children. But I never met them. So I had stepbrothers and sisters, but I never met them. Well, I didn't meet them until his actual funeral. But my husband, you also have a blended family, correct?
Yes, and kind of similar to yours. My dad remarried after my mom passed away. Mm-hmm. And his new wife had kids. She had a son and a daughter. Mm-hmm. But because of the age, like they were older and they had already moved out. Mm-hmm. So, and I was probably ready to go to college around 19 or 20 or so. So even though they are considered blended family, we never really blended. Like we never stayed in the same house.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So,
like, by the time a lot of these things happened, they were already moved out. Mm-hmm. I moved out, went to college. So, I knew them, mm-hmm. but we never really, like, did things together. We never went to, like, ball games together. We never went to the mall or nothing together because, I mean, everybody was pretty much grown already, so, and doing their own thing.
Yeah, I wasn't grown, but his children were grown, so... like they were really, really grown, and they didn't really have any contact with me. They really didn't have much contact with my brother, and I don't think they do to this day. And he's their brother,
right,
you know, their half brother. Right. But anyway, you guys know that we've been married for 8 years. I was married to Chris's dad for, I want to say 3 years total. She came along after year 2. She was our anniversary gift, our 2-year anniversary gift, and that was a blended family because he had a child from a previous relationship, and you know it was a big deal to me to make sure that Chrissy and her half brother bonded. Well, of course, the marriage didn't work out. And then when I married Sam, he had 3 children from a previous marriage. And I was concerned about how the kids were going to mesh. In the beginning, it was all good. Like, I don't think there ever was an issue. But
there were a lot of them age-wise. Like, the whole group was kind of in the same age bracket, really, you know.
Right.
There wasn't any big discrepancies. Like, there's a big age difference between you and your brother, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. So, and you mentioned there was a big discrepancy between your stepdad's kids and you. Like, so did they even ever come around to visit him? I
never even knew who they were.
So did they live somewhere else, or?
I don't know. I don't know anything about them. I only saw them at his funeral And my brother was, I want to say 14 when his dad passed. But my mom and his dad divorced when he was like 4. So this was 10 years of me not even seeing him, let alone his kids. So I don't know anything about his kids, but I know there are at least 2 or 3 of them. Like I know there's a sister and I know there's a brother. But they don't really have much contact with my brother either. I guess because it's such a big age difference. Right. And their dad is gone, so it's nothing linking them. But we've never asked you guys this, so we'll start with you. How did you feel when the families blended, when they started coming around?
I liked having a little sister, honestly, because she would play with my toys. Like, I had dolls, I had doll houses. She would play with them more than I did because, I was growing up. But she was like, 5, I think, when I first met her. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, so I liked having her around. The brothers, they were standoffish, they're like best friends. Mm-hmm. But, I got to know them better. They played sports and all that. They were cool. And on my dad's side, I have stepsisters on his side. Mm-hmm. I don't really talk to them as much anymore, but when I did, we would all get along. It was fun going over there on weekends. But, yeah, I love all my siblings.
That's good. What about your half-brother? Do you guys?
I don't really talk to him. We'll talk every once in a while. We'll catch up, but I haven't talked to him in a while.
Is he, what's like the age, what's
6
the age?
years.
Between the two of them? Okay.
He's like 23, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's like 6 years, because his birthday is June 4th and hers is 28th. So he's like 6 years and 3 weeks older than her. Mm-hmm. So you're 18 and Kiara is 15. Just want to put that perspective out there. Because she said they've been stepsisters or been in each other's lives since they were 5. Well, since she was 5. So it's been 10 years of them blending. So what about you? Do you remember how you felt when you first met Chrissy and me?
I do remember. It was really fun. I didn't really think, I didn't know you were going to be my stepmom at first. But it was really fun getting to know Chrissy and knowing that I was going to get a sister because I didn't really hang around girls like that. Mm-hmm. And just like she said, just hanging out with her and playing with her toys, that was a lot of fun. And then whenever I think we did get really close, like Jamon and Steven too. We would all go outside and just do little things, and those were I think about those memories a lot because it was the most fun then.
So now, everyone, of course, has gotten much older and is not playing with dolls. Now it's come take me to the store, go get me something to eat, and of course, everyone's working except you. You're not old enough to work yet. So I'm sure you enjoy the benefits of having older siblings that have a few dollars in their pocket that can go and get you something from the store or something to eat, huh?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's an advantage.
So, you mentioned your dad remarried and you have stepsisters over there. Is it the same as your relationship here or is it different?
Like now or years ago?
Years ago.
No, because I got along with all my step-siblings, but I have two stepsisters on my dad's side, so I would talk to them about boy stuff or whatever, but I couldn't really talk to her about that because she was young, and Jamon and Steven, they're boys, so they don't want to listen to that. But yeah, I would tell them about stuff like that, so I guess it was different on girly stuff, but I love all of them the same though.
Do you ever feel like, Kiara comes around all the time, and it's great for the two of us to see y'all really close, because that was one thing we always would hope for. But do you ever feel pressure to do the right thing? Because I know Kiara's watching, or I know she's watching the way I carry myself, so I have to try to be a good example. I don't want to be the reason why she does something crazy behind a boy or something like that?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna say Kiara is a good girl. Like, she doesn't do any of the stuff that like any of her friends do. Some of her friends are really wild, but I'm glad they don't rub off on her. Like, she leads. She's a leader. She's not a follower.
Okay.
I love that about her. So I feel like
I think that's a great observation to be able to know somebody good enough, know her good enough to say, okay, you have bad things going on all around you, but it doesn't influence you to do wrong. So that's pretty good. And so, what do you think of your older sister? Because here you are, for starters, in our family, you were the first girl in 38 years. And even now, on both sides of the family, it's number of boys.
Yeah.
You have 4 brothers, and you're the only girl. So, how does it feel being looking up to Chrissy? Like, do you look up to her, or is there things you say? Oh, I'm sure there's probably things that you say, oh, I wouldn't do that, or I would do that. But what does it? Give us some insight. How does it look looking up to having an older sister when you start out with all these brothers?
Well, I know I'm always look up to Chrissy. Like, for instance, her working. That's make me want to get a job and get my own money and stuff like that, and be able to take care of my own things. And I know there are some things that I wouldn't do, stuff like that. But that's just because she's older. But yeah, I really look up to her and how she works and stuff, and she gets her things done in school and stuff like that.
So did you know? Could you like really tell that she's watching you like that, or you just go about your business not knowing? Because we talk about this all the time when it comes to having kids and you're the parent. I don't care what you do or say, someone's always watching you. So you really need to be mindful that as parents. But here you are, big sister. Do you feel that same energy that Marie's watching? Did you know she was watching your work ethic like that?
not the work ethic, but I know she was like watching my like behaviors like with boys and like work and I mean not work but like school and stuff. Like, cause I talk to her about stuff now. Like, she knows not to do this, and that, because I've been through it, and I tell her what not to do. Like, to watch out for these boys and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome.
The same stuff I've told you that you didn't listen to? Are you listening?
Yes, I'm listening.
Whatever.
I'm just asking. So, I was going to ask something and I forgot. But, okay, so you know she's watching or whatever, even though she, is not telling you she's watching. What about with Tyson? What about with the 7-year-old? Do both of you feel a responsibility to be good because you know he's watching?
I definitely do. I just feel like me and Tyson aren't as close. But I definitely think we will get closer when he's older. But I try to be a good example around him or tell him what things not to do and stuff like that.
What about you?
Yeah, I know he's watching what I do because this is who he is. He's around me all the time. And I know whatever I do rubs off on him. So I try to be a good example around him. Try not to talk bad around him and, everything.
That's good. Do you guys feel like, how do you feel we are doing as parents of this blended family? Do you feel like there are things we could do better, or
do you even feel like there's things you wish we would do that we don't?
Well, I think y'all are doing good. Like, just like simple things like this. I like spending time with y'all. One thing I do wish we did more is like being all together more, like everybody. Cause I know like everybody's busy with work and stuff like that. But just like little things like.
And we used to do that. We used to do and in my memories, my Google Photos sends me memories. This week, I want to say it was 8 or 9 years ago, we went to San Antonio for spring break. And do you guys remember that? and I have pictures of you and the boys riding the roller coasters, and a picture of me, you, and the boys next to Daffy Duck, but you were too scared to take a picture next to Daffy Duck. And we used to, cook dinner and everybody would sit at the table together. But now that everyone's older, everyone just grabs their food and goes. And like your dad said, everybody works except you. So everyone's like on a different schedule. Mm-hmm. But I do think we should we've been talking about having a family meeting. And that's going to happen soon. But I think that's something we'll discuss at the family meeting and say maybe on Sundays we could, especially when y'all come.
Or even plan, you know what we've never done? Plan a picnic. Whatever. Picnics just disappeared off the face of the earth. Last time somebody had an actual picnic. You know what I'm saying? No one has picnics anymore.
So what about you? Anything you wish we did or we could do better?
I agree with what she said, like how we used to do stuff all the time. I wish we did do that, but I think y'all are great parents. Like, that's just how I feel. Like, I feel like y'all spend time with us, y'all ask us how we're doing, and y'all don't just let us do whatever. Y'all still care. So, but I wish, I'm not gonna lie, I wish I did have a little bit more freedom, only because I'm about to be 19. But I understand where y'all are coming from, though. But
the freedom that comes with responsibility. And what you have to realize, this age range you're in, from 15 to about 25, y'all are going to do some of the stupidest things like when you get to be 35, if you get to be 35, you're going to look back at the time from when you were 15 to 25 and say, I was so stupid. I can't believe I'm still alive after, all these things that happened. So because we've lived through it, and we've lived through our parents being strict on us during this time, and we know what we did during this time, that's why we don't just let y'all run free, because you could literally just run off the face of the earth, and you would think it's a good idea. Your friends might convince you it's a good idea, but I'm one of those people, I always think it all the way through. I think of the consequences at the end. And at this age, between 15 and 25, nobody's thinking of the consequences. They like to live in the moment, because you're getting to that age where you start to feel grown. You start to feel like you can make your own decisions.
And you are getting grown. You are.
You just don't know the consequences of the decisions you make. And so that's why we haven't just loosened the reins on you guys yet.
Kind of piggybacking off of what you said, I can recall being y'all's age, right? And my mom was strict on me to a certain degree. It's a little different for boys, but we can't get pregnant, but we can get in just as much trouble and end up in jail or whatever.
Or get somebody pregnant.
Right. And so I look back at, oh man, I did so much stupid stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. But aside from that, it's like when you're in that age bracket, yeah, your mind is developing into an adult, but your judgment is bad, your decision making is bad. You probably have lousy friends around you. I did. But my mom never told me one thing wrong. Not one. Like, my mom passed away when I was 27. But as I kept growing as an adult, all the lessons she taught me, everything she tried to keep me from, that either I didn't hear it, I didn't want to hear it, don't do this, don't go there, that's not your friend, that's not your friend. She was right on all of it. Mm-hmm. And I feel bad that I can't talk to her down and say, Mom, thank you for looking out for me. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, my mom's not going to tell me nothing wrong anyway.
Right.
But when you're that age, you don't even see that. Mm-mm. I didn't see that, but as you get older, like you said, everything your parent told you, you're going to end up seeing it somewhere in life and saying, she told me about that. Mm-hmm. And she was just trying to protect me. See, we try to keep y'all from getting hurt, definitely making the same mistakes we made. It's almost like analogy that we use, like if I tell you I've been down this street, there's a dog on the right side, there's a giraffe on the left side of the street, don't go down there, and it's a dead end. You should be able to trust what I say and say, okay, I'm not going down there because there's a dog out on that side, there's a giraffe on this side, and then there's a dead end after that. I'm not going to tell you nothing wrong. I just don't want to see you make the same mistakes I made. But every now and then, like I've seen my sons, they have to go down that street and make sure there's really a dog on this side and a giraffe on that side. And then they come back and say, man, I should have listened to what you said because... But, hey, it's nothing wrong with learning some lessons the hard way. Everybody's going to have to learn some the hard way. We just don't want you to learn all of them the hard way. You know, if we could walk in your shoes for you, we would, but then you'd never grow up, so we have to let y'all do your own walking. It's hard sometimes because we already know what we know, but, you know, it may be hard for you because you say, oh, I need more freedom. And we're struggling with, well, I don't want to keep holding you back, but I just don't want to see nothing happen to you either. You know what I'm saying?
And trust me when I say I'm not trying to call you a dog. I just want to use this analogy. Have you ever seen a little lady, a little small frame lady, walking down the street with a dog on a leash, big dog, and that dog is pulling her? And when she lets him off that leash, possibly to use the bathroom or whatever, he just runs all over everywhere. That's how you are with us being strict on you. The minute we take you off the leash, you just run out and do everything you can, peeing on the fire hydrant, just doing everything. But we keep you on the leash to try to keep you under control. Because like I said, at this age, you just going to run out and just do a whole bunch of stuff that's not going to be the best decision. And I know you don't see it, but like, I'll use myself as an example. My mom was super strict. Like, you think I'm strict? Oh, I try to give you freedom just so that I don't seem like her. But my mom, I wasn't allowed to spend the night at anybody. The only person's house I was able to spend the night at was my uncle, who he had a daughter who was the only child. That's the only place I could spend the night. None of my friends. Do you guys know who the Ghetto Boys are? Do you? You know who the Ghetto Boys? Okay, so when I was in middle school, the Ghetto Boys were just coming out. They were performing at schools. They came to my school to perform. So I was like, Mom, can I go see the Ghetto Boys? She was like, no, you can get on the bus and come home. So I'm thinking I'm slick, and I call and say, well, I got cheerleader practice, so I'm going to stay after school. She said, okay. And I'm in the auditorium, and I'm jamming to the Ghetto Boys. And she walked right in there and pulled me up out of there. Like, that's the type of strict she was. Like, even if she knew I was lying, she would let me go through with the lie and run up on me to catch me in the lie. But as I got older, and like you said, your mom would say, that's not your friend, that's not your friend. As I got older, I was able to see that my mom was just protecting me from things that my friends who their parents didn't restrict them. And I had a friend who 8th grade had a baby. I had people on drugs, people in jail in high school. Like, she was just protecting me. I do think she still thinks she went a little overboard, but I don't think that I would be the person who I am if she was not that strict on me. If she didn't force me to do the right thing at all times, or most of the time. It did make me sneaky. I'm not gonna lie. Her being strict, it made me sneaky. But even in my sneakiness, I learned the hard way that she was right. Like, she just was trying to protect me from things. And that's what we try to do with you. We both have things that we saw our parents do that we're like, I would never do that with my kids. So we try to do things, like we looked at the good and the bad of what our parents did. And the good things we give to y'all. The bad things we shield y'all from. But it's only to help you be the best adults you could be. And eventually you guys will be parents and give us some beautiful grandbabies that we can spoil. And then y'all can complain and say, you didn't never let me get away with stuff you letting this baby get away with. And that's the joy of being a grandparent. So, you guys have anything else you want to add about the blended families? You're in another blended family as well. How is that working out?
I like it. It's just
So you have a 3-year-old, almost 3-year-old brother?
Every day is just hilarious being with him, and
They're all
having him
funny at that
waking me up.
age. Yeah, they're funny at that 2-3 age.
It definitely gets on my nerves sometimes, but it's fun, like, taking care of him, and I just feel like we're already close. Like, I know we're gonna get even closer, especially when he gets older. But just seeing his little face light up when he sees me, it's just really makes me happy inside.
One thing that all 4 of us have in common are siblings that came around much later. Like my brother and I are almost 15 years exactly, like 14 years, 11 months, 21 days apart. Like his birthday's August 20th, I'm the 29th. I mean, we just 9 days away from being exactly 15 years apart. You and your brother are what, 10 years apart?
9 years and something.
Yeah, and you and your brother, your little brother, are
11 years apart.
11 years apart. And how you and your little brother are what, 12 years apart? Yeah, so I have the biggest gap. And me and my brother, we've never argued.
Me and my brother don't argue ever.
Yeah.
We've never argued on one time.
We've never had
ever.
a fight, never argued. But I think that's just being the big sister. He kind of looks at me more like a mom than a sister.
Respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he's never like called me out of his name. I'm sure he's been mad at me before, but he ain't never said it to me.
I don't think my brother's ever even been mad at me before. I don't think he's ever been mad at anybody before. He just doesn't show anger.
Yeah, I've never seen him angry.
Never seen Mike mad. If I can do something to make him mad.
Oh my God.
Bite him on his knee or
He's the
something.
Jolly Green Giant.
Yeah. But let me say this before you, because you were about to move into. Okay, let me just say this to my daughters here, because I was going to say it for the meeting, but I'm going to say it now. One of the things that bothers me is that, like, we pray all the time for our kids, whether we know where they are or not. You know, a lot of times, because of the shifts I work, I sleep and wake up and sleep and wake up whenever. So I may wake up, I don't know where either one of my sons are. Their cars are gone. But we still pray for them nonetheless. So this is something that disturbs me. We've prayed for God to protect y'all all the time, right? We've had to thank God more times than I think we really, really want to. You know what I'm saying? For sparing y'all's life. That's not a prayer I want to pray. So, Jamon was recently, the oldest was recently in a car accident that somebody else was driving. He could have died, right?
Right.
He come up with fractured nose and face all bloodied and stitches. The next to oldest, 2 car accidents. I mean, the first one was really bad. Airbags out, car total. Could have lost you. Scary. But thank God, hey, thanks for sparing my kid. And Steven, next to oldest, does this. He sells shoes, clothes, he sells merchandise. Gets involved with a guy that went to school with him, but a criminal. He was just a dumb criminal, not a violent one. Steals the merchandise in the car and takes off. He could have easily squeezed the trigger on him and left him laying in the... Hey man, we have to thank God. Hey man, thank you for sparing my child. So, I said all this to say, I don't want to have to keep thanking God for sparing y'all's life. Please use more thought and caution in the things that you do and get involved in. that whole ordeal that happened with Travis Scott, we got family members that were there. Your brother was there, whatever. It could have been bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both our boys were at a function for that the day before all that happened. They went to the softball game. It could have been trampling then, but it wasn't. Thank you for sparing my kid. So I'm saying all this to say, a normal parent shouldn't have to keep thanking God for keeping his kid, but we're glad that he did, and we're not going to stop praying for y'all.
Not gonna stop praying.
Yeah.
And we hope that you guys are praying and praying for each other and praying before you leave home to go wherever you're going, and thanking God when you make it back safe, because there are a lot of people who don't make it back safe.
Mm-hmm.
We said before, we don't want to be so strict on you that you don't have a life. We want you to make memories, have friends,
and grow up
and grow into responsible adults. But the fear of losing you guys in this world is real. Like, I know you both probably experience anxiety about certain things, but you won't realize the anxiety you feel as a parent until you actually have kids. Like, I say this all the time with you, like, I grew up when I became your mom. Like, I was just, I was married, but I ain't gonna say wow, but I just did whatever. But after becoming your mom, I grew up, like, you're a whole person that I have to keep alive. And I want to keep you alive. I don't want you to be the dog that I let off the leash and you just run away and never come back. So, we, like I said, we're trying to give you guys freedom, but we want you to be around long enough to, we want you guys to bury us, not we're burying you. So it's time for Ask the Amoses, and our two daughters are the ones who are asking the questions this week. And the first question Christian asked,
let her ask.
Do you guys ever get tired of each other?
As a married couple, right? So, do you want to start, or do you?
No, I'll let you start.
Okay. Absolutely not. Oh my goodness. I can't even put into words how or why. I never get tired of my wife. It was like that when we were dating, and it has not changed. She is like, I know, like, we become best friends. We are best friends. She's just everything. She's everything. I don't even know what words to say. We talk on the phone like we don't even live together. We talk on the phone like we are in different states.
Every morning.
Every day. And talk about oddness. It feels odd when I'm off because we don't get to talk on the phone.
I know, right? I ride to work like I don't have anybody to talk to because you're at home asleep.
But do we ever get tired of each other? It every day it's like, she makes fun of me for asking, like, what time are you coming home? Because when you're your own boss, you have to take care of everything. So that means, everybody else may work 8 hours and swipe a car, clock out and go home, but that a lot of times is not your cup of tea. You're not going to get to do that many times. Sometimes, okay, but
I've been off this week for spring break, but I've been in the office. I've been in the office every day, so. Like,
she's off, but she's not off. So you never know what you're going to get. So I can't resist asking, like, when are you coming home? And she makes fun of me, but I can't help it. I miss her just from one day. And, I mean, you would think we didn't live in the same house. That's how I miss. So, no, we never, ever get tired of each other.
Get tired of each other like he said, we're best friends. And
let me say this. Our relationship has no begin date.
Hey, you done said that many times.
Well, it's a making one right now. We have no begin date. We have no anniversary prior to. I mean, we have a wedding anniversary. We know when we got married, but we have no begin. We have no start date because we were just friends in the beginning, and we never thought it would get this far, but it did.
Yeah, we never thought that, and I can't speak for him, but in other relationships that I had prior to him, including my first marriage, I eventually I either got bored of the person, or I stopped liking the person, or they just had hurt me so much to where I just couldn't take it anymore. But my husband now doesn't hurt me. He's, like I said, my best friend. We talk every day about everything. And one thing that I hope that you guys take into your own relationships, when there's a problem, you talk to the person that you have the problem with, not everybody else. So, and I'm not just saying this when you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship, even in your friendships. When people say communication is key, that's what they mean. You really, like, if you're mad at her, don't come talk to me about being mad at her. You need to talk to her and tell her what she did that made you mad. You don't have to yell at her. Just, express it. And then, because she loves you, she's going to take what you say and say, okay, I'm sorry, and, whatever. And that's how we're able to communicate if there is an issue, but generally there aren't any issues, which brings us to our second Ask the Amoses question, which you asked, which was what?
Do y'all ever argue?
No. I cannot remember the last time we argued. And when we were dating, we did argue. And I think a lot of that came from just wanting to be together and not being able to be together. Like, if he was working, or like, let's say it was a weekend that you guys came over, and he was like, well, I'm just spending time with my kids, and I'm like, well, I miss you and I miss them, and we might start arguing because we haven't seen each other. But ever since we've been married, we don't argue. Like, if he does something that rubs me the wrong way, I can easily just say, babe, I didn't like when you did that, and he just fixes it, and vice versa. He doesn't really complain to me about what I do, but I detect when I'm doing something wrong, and then I'll ask him, does this bother you when I do that or when I don't do that? And then he'll just answer me honestly, and we talk about it. But talking about your issues with people is the most it's the best communication that it's the best tool you have at your discretion. And I mean that at work, at school, whatever, being able to communicate how you feel or how something made you feel, that's very important to your growth. It can, help with your anxiety. It can help with depression, because if you, let's say, like I said, let's say you have a problem with her because she keeps going in the bathroom talking on the phone. You want to use the bathroom, you can't get in the bathroom because she in there talking on the phone and she whispering. So you automatically assume she talking about you, right? Because why she leave out the room and go in the bathroom and she whispering? But in actuality, you done got a new boyfriend and you don't want her to hear, because you don't want her to tell us that you got a new boyfriend. So you sneaking in the bathroom and talk on the phone. But now you done got an attitude with her because she been sneaking in the bathroom talking on the phone. But if you guys would just communicate, you would see that you're mad for nothing. You're just being suspicious because she's doing something out of the ordinary. And you will see that you sneaking for nothing because she can tell you, I wasn't going to tell them anyway.
Right.
So if you just communicate, it can solve a lot of things. And that's why we don't argue. We just talk.
It is hard to argue with someone when you miss them all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like we've had many podcasts, relationship based, where we discuss not arguing, but it's mainly so people will understand that. I mean, you may grow up in a house where your parents argued, or you see your best friends arguing with their boy, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
And
People
everybody
say
thinks,
that all the time.
Yeah,
Everybody argues.
yeah, no,
everybody
you don't have to. Hey, I talk about this all the time. There's another level, but if you don't know that level's up there, you'll just stay down here. You'll say, oh, well, this is good enough. Yeah, we argue every now and then, but who doesn't? Me? You can be in a relationship, date somebody, and you don't have to argue. That's not like food and water, or I just have to have it every now and then. I got to get some arguing in. People, I mean, society will kind of push you in that direction to believe, oh, you ain't gonna find nobody that you're not gonna argue with. Yes, you will. I'm a living proof. I believe it. It can actually happen. But if you sit and listen to the peanut gallery,
they don't know what the peanut gallery is.
Well, the peanut gallery is somebody with bad information. My listeners know what peanut gallery is.
They might not.
Yeah, well, they know now. If you listen to the peanut gallery telling you all, let me tell you something. When it comes to advice, you don't have to look far to find bad advice. It's gonna come find you. Am I right? So you gonna hear people say some stupid stuff. Oh man, you gonna argue. Just get used to it. Get used to it. Well, you can say, hey, I know two people that don't ever argue.
People said when you get married, oh, she was a good girlfriend, but she gonna change when y'all get married. I had a girl tell me, because when we were dating, we talked on the phone all the time. She said, oh, once y'all get married, y'all not gonna be talking on the phone no more.
Oh, that's gonna cut out is what she said. Her words, oh, that's gonna cut out. Mm-hmm. And we're like, I wonder why.
Yeah. But it didn't.
That was years ago. Yeah, that was years ago.
And, you know, we want you guys to always know that we're here. If you want to talk about relationships, you don't have to argue with somebody, but you do have to communicate. Because a lot of the arguing comes from miscommunication or misunderstandings. You know, even with your friends. Like, if you think about your relationship with your best friend, do y'all argue? Do you and Zach argue?
We never argue.
And you shouldn't have to argue with your boyfriend.
Right. Yeah.
We don't argue.
Oh, well, good. Go ahead on. But do you argue with your best friend?
No.
And you shouldn't have to argue with whoever you're in a relationship either. You know, like I said, people try to tell you, oh, arguing is normal. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. So we hope that we are setting a good example relationship-wise for you guys. We hope that you, like I said, that you pray for each other, pray for yourselves whenever you leave. We pray that whenever you get in relationships, that you pray with your partner, because that's important. It's important to have God in your relationship. And we just want you to know we're always here if you guys want advice. You have anything else?
I'm all done.
All right. Thank you. Happy Sunday.